Hello, coin collectors out there. Welcome back to the Big D Coins channel. In today's video, we are going to get into the Mercury Dimes. We're going to focus in on the 1916 D and the 1944 Philadelphia Mint Mercury Dime. We'll get into the reason why I chose those two dimes a little bit later in the video. But first, today's date is January 20th, 2019. So it is the NFL Conference Championship Day. Later in the day, we'll see the Saints play the Rams and the Chiefs play the Patriots. But first, I'm making this video, get this uploaded, and we'll have this released probably in between those two games at some point. All right, so let's get back to the Mercury Dimes and start getting into the details of today's video. So we're going to talk about the 1916 D Mercury Dime. That has a mintage of 264,000. That's right, they only made 264,000 of the 1916 D Mercury Dime, and that is the rarest of the entire Mercury Dime series. Now, the highest mintage Mercury Dime, that will be 1944 Philadelphia Mint. So the 1944 Philadelphia Mint, which is this one right here, they made 231 million of those. So compare 264,000 to 231 million, and I bet you guys know which one is going to be worth a lot more. Now, before we get into the prices of those and the real nitty-gritty as far as the PCGS price guide associated with them, let's first talk about the dime that came before the Mercury Dime and the dime that came after the Mercury Dime. So we won't get into too much detail on those because I made plenty of other videos about them. But we've got a 1913 Barber dime right here. The Barber dimes were made from 1892 up until 1916. Interestingly, they were made at the regular Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, but they were also made at the New Orleans mint. So the New Orleans mint will have a O mint mark on it. So that's rather cool. Mercury dime came all the way up until 1916. Had a little bit of a crossover year in 1916. So there were 18 million Barber dimes that were made at the Philadelphia Mint in 1916. There are also 22 Mercury dimes made at the Philadelphia Mint in 1916. So interestingly there, we also have this one right here. You probably recognize the reverse, but what makes this one right here a little bit special is that if you flip it over on its side, you don't see any copper showing through because this is pre-1965. This one's dated 1963, so this is a 90% silver Roosevelt dimes. So the Mercury dimes were made all the way up until 1945. The following year, that year, Roosevelt passed away, and they decided to make the dime after him, starting in 1946. So 1946 to 1964, they're 90% silver, like this one right here. People consider them kind of junk silver because they're not 100% silver, and there's also not a lot of silver weight to them. They're just a normal size diameter dime, so you don't really get a lot of silver in these, but it's cool nonetheless to get some of these 90% silver coins. So they're still using the same design today, but just not silver. And then we've got these ones right here. So I tried to get kind of a collection of well worn out and not as worn out Mercury dimes. So you can see the one on the right, very, very, very well worn out. This is just purely junk silver right here. It's dated 1916, which is pretty cool. So this is going to be one of the ones that are 1916 Philadelphia Mint. There are 22,180,000 of these ones right here that were made at the 1916 Philadelphia Mint. Now, it's got the W on the front. That is not a mint mark. That is the designer's last name, the initial of his last name. So the designer was Adolf A. Weinman, and that W right there represents his last name. So on the obverse, the front side of the Mercury dime, what we see here is a portrait of Liberty facing the left. She's wearing a winged cap, which led to the popular moniker of the series, the popular moniker being the Mercury dime. So it's often noted that the Roman god Mercury actually had wings on his feet, the obverse, so that's why they kind of call it the winged cap. They call it the Mercury dime. It's kind of a nickname for it, although it's just supposed to be, initially was supposed to be Lady Liberty, so there wasn't any real association with the god of Mercury when they made this, but they got the nickname of Mercury Dime a little bit later. So on the reverse side, which let me flip these all over so we can see a few different versions of the different quality of reverse sides that we've got right here. So on the reverse side is a Roman fasces, which consists of sticks bound by an axe and a olive branch. The inscription, United States of America, 1 dime and e pluribus unum. What's very important when you're looking at the reverse side of the Mercury Dimes is the full band's designation. So see that right there? That is a band that's going across this pillar right here that has the axe head at the top. That right there is the most important part of the reverse side of the dimes. In fact, PCGS has a different price designation for those that have the full bands on them. Now, if you zoom in even closer, they have what's called the full split bands. So we see that there's a band going across the center right here. Now there's actually a split in between. This is actually 2 bands, but because of the wear and tear, it's kind of worn together. There's actually a line, a very small line that goes kind of in between those 2 bands. So PCGS has recognized the scarcity of Mercury Dimes that display full bands details on the reverse of the coin. Hence, Mercury Dimes displaying displaying full central band details on the reverse will receive a full bands designation by PCGS. So if you're looking up the price guide of your coin and you see that full bands designation, in fact, the 1918 D Mercury Dime has been graded by PCGS at a mint state 66, will usually bring around $1,000. However, the same coin with the full bands designation will bring around $100,000. So, very key to differentiate the full bands versus kind of what we see right here, which is worn out. Now, you could have a coin that's in perfect mint state condition right out of the mint, hasn't been touched by a person, but doesn't even have the full bands designation. That's because for it to display the full bands, it had to come from a pair of coin dies that underwent the correct pressure as well as kind of well-defined dies. Mercury Dimes, which lack full split bands details, usually indicate that the coin dies striking the reverse of the coin were worn out on the central band details. So that could be kind of a frustrating part for coin collectors. So like we've said with some of the other coins, even though your coin is directly from the mint, maybe the die that was striking the coin wasn't as sharp as it should be, and that resulted in kind of the coin not having the full design that it should, not having the full details of the design. Now, I wanted to talk about the 2 different prices. The prices between the 1916D. I don't have the 1916D, but I'll use that Philadelphia Mint coin as an example. So the 1916D Mercury Dime, the rarest of the entire bunch. If you look it up, the PCGS price guide, we can see that some have sold in 2018. The most recent highest grade kind of auction one sold in 2018 at a mint state 67 full bands for $96,000. So we're talking about close to $100,000 coin right here for that 1916D full bands graded mint state 67. Now, if you look up a full bands for the 1944, you look up a mint state 67, those are selling for around $500. So Heritage Auctions sold some in November of 2008 for $526 and $576. So the price guide right there is the price change is substantial from $96,000 to $526,000 for the same grade of coin, but extremely different rarity. All right, everyone, that's all the information that I've got for you today. Hopefully you enjoy the football games that will be coming up later on the TV. The takeaway from today's video is that the 1916 D Mercury Dime, the rarest of the bunch. If you've got a 1945, unfortunately that is rather common, but keep your eye out for that full bands designation on the reverse side of the coin. Thank you very much, everyone, and best of luck coin collecting out there. Enjoy!